How's it going, guys? Bibi here with day 3 of Armageddon. So I'm here nice and early today. We are here at, what time is it? It is 9:18 and just sitting here waiting. It starts at 10. First thing that we want to do is go to Madman. Hopefully they've got their cheap DVDs out so then I can go and get that out of the way right away. Today we have got a few guests. There is a Jessica Nigri panel on, but unfortunately I might end up turning up late, so not sure if I'll record that. We'll wait and see. If you see it, then yes, I've recorded it. If you don't, then obviously I haven't. There's Patricia Tallman, Jimmy Wong, who's a YouTuber. He's on another he's got a couple of channels. I can't quite remember much about him. I don't watch him, but I thought it'd be interesting to go and see him. I'll put all of his details down below anyways. So yeah, and then there's Katie from Harry Potter. But yeah, I'll probably go and see that, and then we'll probably head off around about 2:30, so then we can do the Pokemon Community Day. So got a lot of bits and pieces on, usual thing, sitting in one room for multiple hours, but you know, that is the way of cons. I want to learn how to play Final Fantasy, so I'll probably end up doing that tomorrow, along with playing the new Pokemon game, the Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, because I've been itching to try that out. Tomorrow I have the organizer panel, which I like to go to those to find out how things are going with the convention and all that. The people that run the convention have their own little panel. It's not a full hour, but long enough that we can like ask them questions if need be. Then there's the anime panel at 2 PM, which is the one that I have to make sure to go to, and then the cosplay competition. So few things on tomorrow, not as many, so it will mean they'll get the chance to kind of wander around the hall. But yeah, that's pretty much my day, so I will be popping in and chatting to you guys throughout it. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
So when I first started, it was really weird because you would think if you're insecure you're not going to cosplay it that way. But I found over time, as I did it more and more, I felt better and better about myself, and it also helped me to start really taking the steps in like my own diet and my own lifestyle to really start to go, it's not about me and my body, it's about me being this character, or like being able to look the way I feel good in this character costume, you know? So I think cosplay is such an incredible thing for people because it really builds confidence. You may not feel strong or confident or the way that you personally feel as a person, but when you get to be someone else, you kind of start to adopt the traits of that person, and you can kind of step into someone else's shoes, literally and figuratively, and it really starts to rub off on you. As far as like me getting, I think it's just because I'm getting older, so I'm like, oh, these hip, beautiful girls coming into the cosplay community, you know? How often do I spend my cosplay? Oh my gosh. Okay, so have you seen, there's like a meme going around online, it's like this really cute Lolita girl, and she's like fully dolled up, and then she's in her sweatpants in the second photo, and it's like me 1% of the time, me 90% of the time. That's me. Like, I'm full scrub lord mode when I'm at home, like no makeup, no eyebrows, nothing. I'm just sitting there. So I would say like 2% of my life is in full cosplay garb.
Alright, do you prefer making things from scratch or modifying them? Like, I'm looking at Restorator.
I made it from scratch.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying, like, would you prefer made from scratch, or like, could you got a Restorator and modify it to make it like that?
I think it really depends on the outfit, and if because sometimes you just can't find things that originally exist in the real world because game creators are dicks. But yeah, I think making something from scratch to have it be as similar as possible is probably my favorite. Modding is fun though, because it goes fast.
Looks like you're in Slipknot.
Yeah. This thing looks like I'm a Slipknot.
In Slipknot.
Oh.
You trust my only life from the will again. Limited on my friends. Tell me, will this scene ever end? Now
So I hope you do have some questions, and then I'll go off on random tangents from there. But I thought I would, let's see. So I've actually been in New Zealand for about 3 weeks. And I flew into Wellington and rented a car, drove on the wrong side of the street.
No, we're the right side.
And I managed to get here in one piece. So
Did you drive from Wellington to Auckland?
I did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The whole way on the wrong side?
Yes. Well, most of the time.
Yeah.
There's a couple of moments of, oh, yeah. And I pissed off a few people, especially in Wellington, but everyone was pretty nice about it.
So we just did like a little road trip on the way?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Where else we go?
Okay, so how it worked on Babylon 5 back in those days, I'll only speak for my show, my experience directly, is that we would be delivered our scripts at our homes or apartments. And so you get a hard copy. Nowadays it might be more electronic, but in those days too, they wanted to make sure you got the script. You couldn't pretend I didn't get the script, you know what I mean? You can't be lazy about it. And then also what'll happen is, just a little side note, is that when there's a script change, it comes in a different color. So it's dated with a different color. So you have blue pages, yellow pages, green pages, pink pages. And that's just as the script gets revised. In Babylon 5, often we would have a one-color script because he just wouldn't change it. He didn't need to change it. That never happened on Star Trek. Star Trek was a rainbow script. It always was changing. So that was a lot harder on the main actors because they had to learn word perfect, sometimes hours before they were about to do it. Or maybe even, I think Bill Mooney was telling a story. I mean, they were giving him pages as he was shooting, changing things. It was very frustrating for him, and he wasn't used to it because of Babylon 5, right? Okay, so where was I going with this? What was I saying?
The love scene.
Love scene. So, we get the script delivered, I'm reading the script. Of course, the first thing I do is look through it. Am I in it? I'm not. Okay. Or I was. I can't even remember now. I was in an episode. And what had happened, so a little backstory, we were at a big convention somewhere in the United States, a huge convention with a room, a hall of like 2,000 people, full of people, and on stage are the two show favorites, Peter and Andreas. And they're ripping it up, right? They're ripping it up. How could they not? Just standing there is an amazing thing. And then they said at the end, towards the end of their talk, they said, okay, Joe's on stage next, and he's not in the room yet. So what we want you to do is, Joe's ego is getting a little large. And we want you to help us bring him back down to size. So when he gets on stage, he always comes on stage and he has an intro that he always wants them to say, which is something like, ladies and gentlemen, the creator of Babylon 5, Joe Straczynski, and he'll walk on stage. And expect massive applause. So what we want you to do is to be quiet. Not one applause, not one sound. So what happened was exactly that. The audience is prepped. They say, ladies and gentlemen, the creator of Babylon 5, the great maker himself, Joe Straczynski, and he walks on stage. And one guy goes, oh. And Joe looks around, he's like, hi, I'm Joe Straczynski, I created Babylon 5, and everyone's like, 2,000 people. So Joe then goes on to describe the mortification, the flop sweat, the horror, dying the death of 1,000 screams on stage in front of 2,000 people, thinking, oh my God, they hate me. When he found out, then he sees in the back of the room, way in the back, he sees Peter and Andreas. He's like, okay. Months go by. Months later, cut to, I get this script on my doorstep, as we all do. And it describes this scene something like, and I'm doing a very rough approximation, that Lando and Jakar are together, perhaps in one of the elevators, and Lando says something like, you know, Jakar, I've always been very fond of you. And Jakar says, that's interesting, I was thinking of telling you the same thing. Cut to, they're in bed. And Joe went as far as to suggest to set up a prosthetic makeup casting of Andreas's chest so that it could make a bare-chested Jakar in the bed scene. And so agents are being called, hysteria is ensued. They're both, Peter and Andreas are just like, are you out of your mind? What is happening? And then Peter kind of went, oh, well, maybe that's good, I don't know. So he got them back. That was the joke.
That's a great question. Making your own content is very freeing and terrifying at the same time, because at the end of the day, like, you're responsible for filming it, you're responsible for editing it, doing sound work, and coming up with the idea as a whole. And because of the limitations of just, a lot of the times for YouTubers, it's pretty much them and a computer and camera, and maybe some help or a ring light. So you're sort of limited by what your resources are. And so as a result, the scope of what you want to make can't be that big. And everyone, I think, aspires to make bigger and bigger and bigger stuff, but that also comes with its own set of hurdles and stuff. And I think the reason that you haven't seen that many YouTubers actually break into mainstream media is because the way that they've grown themselves up making content doesn't necessarily lend itself to the kind of collaboration that's necessary to make actually bigger content. And it's not necessarily a fault of theirs. I think it's just sort of how entertainment works, and how, this is a system that's been making movies and films and TV shows and stuff for decades. And it obviously works for a reason, because they had to put their heads in the dirt to figure out, how are we going to make this? How are we going to get 500 people in one room to make something together at the same time? And YouTubing is like, I'm the only person that's doing this, I'm the only one that's coming up with everything and making it all together. So the thing I learned when I was an actor was getting experience on set, seeing how sets work and all that stuff was a very important sort of like eye-opening experience to be like, oh cool, this is what collaboration is outside of like, hey, do you want to make a video together? This is collaboration in a world where people are getting paid to do their jobs and everyone is there because that's their profession. So that for me was a very eye-opening experience. And so being able to do that on a much larger scale, I felt much more comfortable going into a movie like Mulan, just because I've worked in other movies before. I understand, like, oh, I see that person, he's moving the light right now. Oh, I get it, they're moving to a next setup. So I don't need to be here, or like I know when to speak up, or I know when to not be sort of like you're a small peg, a small cog in a very big machine. You're a very important one because you're in front of the camera, but at the end of the day, everything else is rotating so that you can slot yourself into one thing and do the job that you're supposed to do. So that's sort of the difference between making your own content and being directed by someone. And every director is different. Nikki is a very actor's director, so she'll come right up to you, say what she needs you to hear and what she wants you to change, and then she'll go back. Some directors never talk to the actors, and it's up to the director of photography or someone else to be like, hey, can you do this here instead? And so every movie's different, and I think you have to be really flexible when you move into a situation where you're being directed or on a big movie like that. And it's so different than making your own content, because at the end of the day, you're calling all the shots, you're deciding what you're making, and that can be in a lot of ways very freeing and very cool. It also poses a lot of trouble and risk as well. We've all seen plenty of YouTubers that have made some pretty dumb videos because they were allowed to just say whatever they wanted with no direction. So I think the other thing I've learned from being directed is that you have to be able to really critically look at your own stuff sometimes. Not to the point where you just don't make it at all, but at least have some sense of what you're doing so that you don't just mess it all up. I was going to swear, but like 20 kids just entered the room. So, flub it up. Shut the front door. Yes, I'm back.
Do you have any advice for how to stand out on YouTube when there's so much content being there, or how do you differentiate yourself?
That's a really tough question because when we started YouTube, it was like 2012, 2011. Some people started their release 2009. And if you think about the people that are still around from those days, it's like Shane Dawson, Smosh, and my brother a little bit, and some other small groups here and there. And it's because they were able to be it was like a big pond, not many fish. Now the pond's even bigger, and there are all kinds of fish in there, and it's a very, very crowded and saturated market. The thing that I always try and tell people is that I think if you're making content, the goal of, you should always look at what your goals are in terms of what do I want to accomplish when I'm making this stuff. And I think ultimately, the number one thing that should be at the heart of it, maybe at the very top of that list should be, this is something that makes me fulfilled and happy. And so you see a lot of people out there that do stuff that just to try and get views, and it's just not sustainable for your mental health to do that. So I think the best answer to that question is a combination of find out what really fulfills you and makes you happy and makes you passionate about what you're doing, and so that when you're doing it, you're not thinking about the things that don't make you passionate, unless getting views makes you passionate. Because I think that is a sort of, it's an artificial thing at the end of the day, because if you're making something that you really love to do, it's not a huge financial strain, but it's something that makes you happy and fulfilled, then that is enough to start off at. And from there, you sort of get to the nitty-gritty of marketing and what exactly you're doing branding-wise. But I think the best thing, especially if you're just starting out, is figure out what that thing is and run towards that with all your might. And when you start making the stuff, then you can start thinking more about the business side of things. And so the idea of standing out, the thing that I always applied to a lot of the stuff I made was, have I seen this online? Have I seen anything like it? If not, I kind of want to do it. But don't do it in a way that makes you completely innovate outside the box. I made a cooking show where we make foods out of video games, movies, anime, and fictional worlds, because I didn't know, there was no other show doing that. But when we made the show, it wasn't the most radical cooking show ever. It was literally two hosts talking at the beginning, a cooking segment, eating the food, and that's it, which is the formula of every single cooking show ever. So the actual show itself wasn't anything special. But what the content was inside of it, the thing that we were passionate about, was what changed and stood out from the rest. So in that way, we got to innovate, but not do something that was terrifying at the same time. It was still something very manageable. We weren't trying to shoot for the moon when we didn't, have the ability to. And the bigger you grow over time, you can start expanding your goals and doing something more towards the lines of oh, let's do something crazy and different for this episode. But I think the thing that, if you want to really stand out, is look at the market, see what exactly is there, find what you're passionate about, and ask honestly if that thing exists. And if it does, is there some way that you can change it to make it a little different or fresh or unique? And don't necessarily stick to the same thing if it's not making you fulfilled. Maybe it's a huge success and it works, maybe it's moderately successful, maybe it doesn't work at all, but it doesn't mean that you have to stick with it if it is any of those things. It's a very flexible thing. You have the span of your whole life to keep making content, and different platforms like YouTube, and there will be different ways to get your content out there constantly coming in the next 50, 60 years of the internet, because it's always evolving. So don't hold yourself to one platform, just do what really makes you happy and try and focus on that.
Okay, so I'm just sitting down to have some lunch, feeling rather hungry, and it's been a great day. Been wandering around. I did not realise that the convention was so much bigger than last year. They have expanded it out all the way that away outside, and there was a concert on. I can't recall what the name of the band was, unfortunately, but they were really good. I got some of that. Went in and bought a cosplay picture from Ashley. She's been here a few times as well. She is lovely. I'll leave all of her links down in the description so then you guys can go and follow her. And you guys will see that picture in my haul. So yeah, I'm also going to go and get one from Jessica Nigri. She wasn't there at the time, so I'll go back and get it. And children are staring at me because I'm talking to myself. I always find that really funny. And yeah, what else have I done? I saw Jimmy Wong and Patricia Tallman today. Both really lovely. I saw the end of Jessica Nigri's panel as well, so I did get a little bit of that as well. So got lots of things, been wandering around and looking at everything. haven't bought anything other than the cosplay picture today, so I am still waiting on Madman's clearance stuff. Should be out tomorrow. I feel bad because I was kind of not really pestering, but I felt like I was bothering them, asking when it was going to come out. But I'll be leaving in about half an hour because it is Pokemon Community Day. Yeah, it wasn't yesterday, it's today. I have that for certain now, so yeah, we're gonna head out and I'm gonna vlog that and hopefully catch a bunch of Beldum. Hopefully we'll get at least a couple of shinies, fingers crossed, and yeah, had a very fun day. So I think I might actually finish today's video here. So go down to the description below, check out all of those social media links that I've left from everyone that I've seen as well as my own. Go and check out the rest of my channel if you haven't done so already. Hit that like button if you're enjoying yourselves, and if you want to help out the channel and donate, you can do it one of two ways. You can either donate through Ko-Fi or through Patreon and get an awesome shout out just like Asperger Bear, Bernard, Linwood, Moji and Lou's Corner. They're all awesome people tiers and you can become one as well. So from my Jamaica guys, thanks for watching and I'll see you all very soon for Pokemon Go. Bye!